All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Jablonski. I'm Vision Makers Chief Operating and Financial Officer. I'm here with my new friends, Josiah Jones and Jeremy Charles. So the title of our presentation here, or our session, is the mentor-mentee relationship. This is in relation to the Creative Short Fellowship, the love for the game. So I watched The Love for the Game, and I was really taken back by it. You know, being from Vision Maker, I'm supposed to be a little analytical. You know, what are we supporting here? You know, what are we? But but as I was watching this film, it's like me as a dad, me as a brother, me as a coach, me as liking basketball. And so when I watched it, it was like just like the perfect production because I was just wrapped up in the film so much. So, anyway, so I asked, in prep, I talked to, Josiah and Jeremy a little bit and said, hey, what are we going to talk about? And they kind of look at me and say, hey, man, we got this. So, kind of a good sign, get out of the way. And, so Jeremy and Josiah, if you guys introduce yourself and then take it away, just like you did with the film.
Well, I guess I'll start it off. Hello, I'm Josiah W. Jones. I currently live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Uh, I'm also enrolled in Chickasaw, and actually graduated from college down the road from here in Choctaw Country in Durant. So it's an honor to be back here, and thank you, Vision Maker, for bringing me back. And yeah, Yoko Key.
Sionaga, Jeremy Charles Dalwadon, Cherokee filmmaker, based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Um, boy, I won't go a whole lot farther. We can talk about a lot, but I have a company called Pursuit Films, and we are a native-owned company, and we about 85% of all the work we do is in Indian country and native country, all across, all over Turtle Island. So yeah.
All right. So, the mentor-mentee relationship. You guys are a couple competitors. Did we ever have to put on the gloves, or how do we
I'm the
how do we get along?
I'm the mentee in this relationship. Just want to clarify, Jeremy is my mentor. Uh, but yeah, it's kind of a crazy story because I met Jeremy through one of his former employees back in 2019. I was out gore dancing on my Kiowa side in Carnegie, Oklahoma. If y'all ever been out there, it's hot during July 4th. And so I met one of his former employees while they were doing projects for the First American Museum. And they got me in contact with Jeremy after I graduated college. And from there, Jeremy just took me under his wing and kind of like showed me the ways of like how to make a professional production, where it's a documentary, commercial, short film, narrative, anything. And Jeremy has taught me the ropes, and yeah, he can kind of speak more to it. But I kind of asked for a better mentor to help me along with this short film.
Yeah, this will be a kind of a love fest because I don't know if everybody got to meet Josiah. He's a outstanding artist and person. I think, when we talk about this film, there's so much of Josiah in this film. And I think as a filmmaker, that's your goal, is to put yourself into your work. And that's because that's what you can speak the most about. And this is 100% Josiah. This is from his life. This is from his heart. That's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes all of our stories so powerful, because we have that connection to the subject matter, right? And I know um, I make a lot of documentaries and make other stuff too, but we do make some narrative stuff. And then I do want to just say it's amazing. This program's amazing. I know the history that Vision Maker has making documentary work, but the fact that you guys are putting some time and resources into these storytellers to make narrative work, it's amazing. Golly, we could go deep into this film though. Are we gonna watch a little clip of it, or not?
Oh, Greg, what questions you got, man?
Well, tell us about the film, and let's see what we're at.
Yeah, so this story is about a former basketball player who kind of lost his love for the game, and he kind of regains it with his relationship with his little sister and a basketball angel, and kind of like reminding why he fell in love with the game of basketball. And it's kind of like my love letter to basketball because my dad's a basketball coach, and so whether or not I had a choice, I had to like sports and specifically basketball. But my dad, the way he taught us, it was also kind of like life lessons. Just kind of like, in anything you do, you work hard, and that's kind of like how I apply to everything in my life, where it's academics, uh, personal hobbies, like anything you do, you like just work hard at it. And if you love it, then like it'll love you back eventually, you know? And so that's kind of like the philosophy of my dad that I taught us, and he taught all my siblings. And his mission is to be like a mentor to all Native people, especially Native men. And so that's why he became a basketball coach and principal, because he wants people to give that love and to pass it on and everything. Not just as a Native mentor, but just as enthusiasm, basketball and friend to all. And so like he's a big part of this. He's actually in it. It's his acting debut, so he was pretty pumped about that. He kind of watched his parts a lot more than the rest of the films. But I don't blame him. He did a really good job playing himself as a loving father. But he so yeah, that's where the story came from. Uh, it actually came fruition through a screenwriting class I took before I applied to Vision Maker. I took a screenwriting class because before that, I did not know how the correct form of screenwriting. I just wrote stuff and then like, okay, get in the field. But like when it comes to like professional film, you have to write something that's translatable that everyone can understand, so that way you can build around it. And so I took a screenwriting class because I didn't know the proper way to write a screenplay. And it was through a good friend of ours, Zach Lickwack. He's a professor at OSU Tulsa, and took a screenwriting class. And he taught me just basically like the science behind a screenplay, how to start one, how to follow it through, rewrites, and how to find the right people to give you notes and feedback on it to make it better and better than you can ever thought it could be. And that's kind of like how this film was made, because like I could not have done this by myself. Without Vision Maker, without Jeremy and his company, without the amazing film community in Tulsa, like all these people deserve recognition, because I could not have done it without them. And but yeah, that's kind of like where it came from, was just my love for basketball, my love for filmmaking, and just wanted to capture that in this short film. And I couldn't have done that without Vision Maker.
It's really fun to like Josiah was saying, we met a long time ago. I think you were still in college whenever we met, and you have a business degree, which
Mhm.
is super duper useful. But also, he also just wanted to be a filmmaker. Um, but something that a lesson that you can take that Josiah is a great example of is he knows what he doesn't know. You know what I mean? As a filmmaker, endless passion, and also there's this analogy of sports in the sports context that this film is in. That's how Josiah kind of approaches his craft, and it's crazy to see. I remember when he first brought this screenplay up, and he kept working on it. He was metaphorically doing his free throws, doing 100 free throws. You know, like every day he would work. He would work at night. He would work all night long. He would work all weekend. Okay, now I got it. I know how to do a screenplay now. It's like then he builds these relationships and he keeps on working it, keeps on working it. And like, okay, now pick up a camera. You know, now open up Premiere. You know, all these things. Josiah approaches filmmaking like an athlete in a way, with that discipline, which is an amazing quality to have. Um, but also, Josiah has a heart for it, because he knows basketball is not just a game, and the things that we're passionate about are not just they're not just games, right? Everything we do has intentionality into it, especially with Native peoples and basketball. I think there's a lot under the surface there, right? Um, all right, I'll stop it.
Okay, is there more of the film we can show and then kind of get into some of it?
Yeah, if we go a couple slides over, yeah, that one, that's a trailer. Let's check out this bad boy.
I've been dealing with the FIFA fo fum. Every little thing is making my nose run. I'll be dealing with the FIFA fum. Having little things making my nose run. Making my nose run. Making my nose run.
Not too shabby.
Y'all might recognize this young lady in Love for the Game, Nell Doherty, and you might recognize her from earlier. She's also in Emma's film Redbird. Yeah.
Okay, so Jeremy, I was getting back to the mentor-mentee relationship. So Vision Maker Media is always looking for mentors, and I had asked you, I said, do you know, how is it being a mentor? And you said you love it. So which is really cool because, you know, we want to develop young film producers, and it looks like that's what you're doing there. But so on this film, is there getting back to the sports thing, is there like a style of offense, a style of production that of Jeremy that comes out in this film?
Well, I'm a team. I guess I'm a coach. Really, for Josiah's film especially, it was really important that he take full agency over it, right? And so the way I view my job in this project and also in general is like I'm like, you know, I'm Gen X, I'm like getting up there, but it's my job as someone of my generation to make sure that they get a leg up because they're going to carry forward when I run out of gas, right? So really just giving Josiah space and time and resources is really what it was all about to me. Making sure that he found young talent, like the crew, who needed that opportunity. You know what I mean? Who like, have you had the chance to do this yet? I know you can do it. You haven't yet, but you can. So let's do that, right? And Josiah, like I didn't get in his. I was like, well, really, like, what can I do to help you? You know what I mean? What can I make sure to keep you moving? Because when you're talking about style of play, documentary and narrative are worlds apart, worlds apart. And I think Josiah can probably speak a lot about that because as someone who's I've made a ton of docs, right? Narrative is a completely different beast, completely different beast. Um, all of your thought, you can't wait and marinate on things. With a narrative film, you have to already have thought about it, right? You have to have thought through every single thing. Whereas in a doc, you can kind of pick some up, okay, where to go with it now, okay? With narrative, it takes so much more preparation, so much more pre-production, so much more visualization. And Josiah, like, he was very diligent about the entire process, like storyboards. It's like work with your DP, you know, previs everything, rewrite, rehearsal. I was really one of the things I'm really impressed with is his relationship with his actors. He understands because of his experience in a different way, you know, through sports and his family and having these good models, like he knows communication. So he worked really amazingly with his actors. We worked really hard to find the right actors too. Like we cast a lot of people. We were like, it's like who's got the magic? You know what I mean? This basketball angel. I know the trailer doesn't show you a lot, but he's the comic relief. He's like the levity and who is that, you know? So that's one thing I'm really proud of him for doing, because recognizing all that preparation that's required to go into it to make a great product in the end.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say the preparation was a big thing for me because when I first started at Pursuit, I was shown all these documentary skills, and when I moved up to Tulsa, I already had another short I wanted to do, but like I knew it wasn't ready to be professional yet, but I knew I needed to know what it was like to run a professional short. So this is a couple years before I applied to Vision Maker, and so I was just like telling Jeremy, hey, I'm gonna make this short with just a couple of our guys at Pursuit. He was just like, "You sure you don't want all of our help?" And I was just like, "No, no, I got it." Because in documentary, you can do a lot with like few people, like 3 people, and that's why I thought how you can approach with narrative. And so we get to the set, and Jeremy, he didn't say nothing. He was just like, "Okay," And so, and I was just like, "Why is he acting like that? I got it, man." And so we go to the location, and we're like, "Okay, we're going to film 3 scenes here. They're very short and everything, so we're going to get it done." I I didn't finish one scene there. I didn't finish a short because well, one, because I just mainly wrote it because I wanted to see what it was like to work in a professional short film. And I just realized how much went into a narrative short rather than a doc. Because when we go on doc shoots, it would just be 3 of us, one person would do the lighting and 2 camera people and then a sound guy. So that's how I approached the short film. But there was just so much that went into a narrative I did not know. And so for a whole year, uh, I just studied. I would ask Jeremy questions after hours. I would ask some of his co-workers that were producers. I would ask them questions just like, what does a producer do? What I mean, like, what does a head grip do? And like just what is the responsibility of a director of photography, a DP, and I just and like assistant camera, like what all these roles. And so like when I came ready to apply, I knew what I can do with that budget because of all the experience I learned for a whole year of what went into a professional narrative short and like how to make it work, but also like be able to pivot with what I have. And so that came from just a year of just taking off and learning. That was like my film school because I didn't go film school, and so that was like my way of learning all the different stuff. And so yeah, and then so even when I applied, I didn't hear back until March, and so like from like December all the way up to March, I was already prepping, like I already had it. So I was like storyboarding. I was already talking to a potential DP. I was just like, "Hey man, how you feel about this? How you feel about this shot and everything?" I was like, "Don't get too crazy because we haven't heard back from the grant yet." So but I was preparing myself so that way if we did get it, we're already a few steps ahead. That way I have until August to film. And so and then once we got the grant, I still prepped every week, all the way up until the September. Was it starting in September? Yeah. All the way up to September 2023. And we filmed it. So like from like January all the way up until uh September 2023, I was thinking of every scenario, like what if it rains? What if it uh uh like, what if we don't get the shot in time? Like, it's like, what if we get this park? It's like, okay, we can't have that park. So what if we go to this park instead? And then it's like, what if we do at this house and, instead of this house in case that one doesn't work out because budget wise. So it was just everything. I was trying to think of every scenario in my head. So that way, when it came to that production, we had a backup plan for that backup plan for that backup plan. And so because I did not want to repeat what I did a year before, and so just that preparation really helped me once the grant came in because I knew I wanted to make it count, and so yeah, so I really appreciate Vision Maker for giving me that shot.
Prior to you mentioning that, I was going to say, how did your perspective change once you got into the production? You just nailed that.
Well, I could tell you more about production because it was crazy because so this is what happened after we do our first scene. Because this is like I said, you never know what's going to happen on productions, no matter what your budget is. First, we do our first scene, it's going great and everything, everyone's warming up, and then my first AD, one of our producers, and our DP, we all step aside because my first AD is like, "Hey Josiah, once we're done with this scene, let's step out here real quick." And then my other producer was like, "Hey, so our other producer had a miscommunication with the location, and so now we might have to move this whole park scene somewhere else." And they were like, "So what do you want to do?" And so I was like, "Okay, I got these 3 other parks you can look at." I was like, because today we're just filming stuff behind trees. So as long as there are trees and we can show a park later, because we're not shooting any of the park today, then like let's think to that. But I want this location to be first priority. If we can't do that, here's these 3 other places. And so they went to work as we were filming the rest of the day. And luckily, the great team, me and Jeremy, put together, they were able to secure that location for the next 3 days. And so that was literally after the first scene we shot, and I was just like of day one. And so it was just like a lot of that you had to be prepared for it. And luckily with that preparation, I was able to give them my feedback and then be like, okay, y'all handle it. Thank you so much. And I go back to directing the actors and keep going.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, I think, when people are transitioning from doc to narrative is like delegate and trust who you delegate, because there's no way, as docs, I mean, I know it's like you try to do everything. I can also edit it. I can also produce it, blah, 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 blah. And we can still do that. But in narrative, it was really important for Josiah to make sure he was focusing on the camera and the actor and let everybody else do their job, right? And so, problem, you're aware of the problem, let somebody else solve it. You know what I mean? That's a big difference in a narrative style.
Yeah, because that's also what I learned from that first failed short was that I was wearing too many hats. I was trying to direct, I wrote it, I brought food my grandma cooked, so I was crafty. I was acting in it. I forgot every line. That's why we didn't finish no scenes. Just because I was wearing too many hats, I forgot which hat to put on in the scene. And uh, so yeah, it was like I said, like I knew that was a big thing when it came to this short, that like I have the right people around me to elevate me and to like I can trust and know they're going to get the job done, and that's exactly what happened.
Okay, Jeremy, as a mentor, do you see a trend with these creative shorts, or you think that's a good path? Of course, I don't think you're going to say no, but I mean, what kind of development do you see possible going forward for the vision maker?
Well, I mean, short films, and I guess you guys, I'm just speaking to the choir here, but like that is your entree. You know what filmmaking is like. It's like nobody wants you to will let you do anything until you've already done it. That is basically how a lot of industries work, but especially filmmaking is like, well, I can't, I know I'm a great showrunner. It was, well, you haven't run any shows. Well, if you won't let me run shows, then I can't run shows. You know what I mean? So short films are vital for writer directors, cinematographer, anybody who has a craft or a passion, like, because that is, it basically shows in a in a contained environment what your potential is and what your vision is. If you have control, if you have a strong vision, and if you and it's a great training ground. And shorts are more popular than ever because of that, and also our attention spans are so short. But also it's like you can do a lot for a lot less money, for a lot less time. And you can get your vision put out there, right? So that it's vital that people do shorts. That's the track. That's how you get to be somebody's not gonna it's the way you get to prove yourself without asking for permission as much, right?
Yeah, so I was talking to you last night, Josiah, and you'd say how it really developed you. I was saying, where does this film go from here? And I kind of learned it was really just development. So that's cool. What do you got on docket coming up, or what do you guys got going forward?
I'm applying the fellowships and just really continuing to build what this opportunity gave me in other regions, and just continue to grind and get better every day, and continue to work on my craft. I mean, that's all. I think that's all you can do, and if you love it, do as long as you can, and so like I said, I'm really appreciative of the opportunity I got from Vision Maker and that people that believed in me. So.
Well, tell us about like what's the plan for Love for the Game? Not out yet, right? But also,
Yeah,
what's the next project and the next?
yeah, I'm trying to get this one done first. Like I'm being for real. Yeah, like we're submitting it off to big film festivals. That's a big plan for it, and I'm really just waiting to see, because this is my first legit film festival run, and that's a whole new game to me right there. I'm still trying to figure that out, and so I'm always constantly asking for advice from people I look up to, Shout out to Blake Pickens. And just a lot of people that just helped me along the way, just because that have been in the game and familiar with it, know more than me. And that's like advice I would give is like surround yourself by people that know more than you, so that way they can help you and elevate your game. Um, but yeah, so right now I'm just trying to give this short film the best film festival run it can get, and I'm still trying to figure out a game plan for that specifically. I've already submitted to a couple already, and like I said, just try and get my head around that because that's a whole different field I'm not familiar with, and once I feel better about that, I'll continue to work on the other stuff I've been working on, and where it's like other shorts or applying to fellowships and writing programs. But yeah, so just trying to give myself the best
And we're,
opportunities.
you know, we kind of have a unique relationship because we work together. Like, I get him to do stuff that I'm working on, right? And so we have a lot of communication. You know, we're like, here, Josiah, read this book, or like we can talk like that all the time. Something that we're starting to do now. We've identified a project that Josiah is going to start really getting deeper into producing on, which right now Jos is like he jumps on crews. He sometimes run camera, he'll edit, and but now I think he's ready. He's ready to like, okay, let's learn how to produce. You know what I mean? And so our relationship isn't just this film, is what I'm saying. He's like I was telling you guys, he stays up. He's like, oh, you know, find a pillow on the couch at the studio and like some food or whatever. It's like, oh, he stayed up all night working. You know what I mean? Like
Definitely got a
that's the
two-person
kind of
studio.
work ethic. I think that's what it takes. That's what it takes to get there, right? And he's got that. And so I just want to make sure he is given the chance, because he deserved that chance.
So, very important question for me, Josiah, the finances, Jeremy kind of kicking you around, making sure you got the money, you're staying within budget. Tell us about some of that.
Yeah, so I had a wonderful producer, Charla. She definitely helped us there. Because she's very experienced in that, and so she was able to be like, all right, this is our priority, so we can spend our money here, but I think we can figure it out here, So, and then Jeremy and then Matt at Pursuit Films, like them three have been such a huge help, like in the pre-production before we even shot. We were like, okay, so this is because Matt, Jeremy, Charla, they all worked on short films and features and like know what it's like to have that. And so for me, that was kind of like a learning experience. I was asking them questions, just like where should most of this go? And they were like talent and production because we can cover the post production side and everything. Like we have all the cameras you need. We'll need to facilitate out to like to get grips and supplies for that because we don't have all that. So like we were able to reach out to like a cinema supply warehouse that they had all the lighting gear that we needed and the grip stuff. And so it was like having those three with me uh really helped me to stay under budget, where the money should be spent, uh because of their experience working in the field for such a long
Yeah,
time.
and that's a big thing. I think that a lot of people don't when you're first starting out in film is like, oh my goodness, like, so I gotta be the writer, I gotta be the director, I gotta be producer. You have to do all of that as a director or the creator of something. You have to know about your finances. You have to, even though sometimes different sides of your brain, right? But this is why this fellowship is so important because Josiah he had to touch all of that. He had to know where the money was going. He had to know how to, you know, uh, squeeze the whatever he could out of, the budget we had and who was going to help do what favors could we call in, what favors can't we call in that we have to pay for, that's why this fellowship is so valuable because it's so rare that you have that support behind you. It makes it, I mean, I would say you could probably say like it accelerated your career beyond what you could have done on your own, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, boys, tell me what I've missed.
I mean, we could-
what should I be asking you about that I've
Talk
not
about
covered?
Motto and Nell.
Yeah. So the lead actor and executive producer and score for the short film is Mato Wei Yuhi. He did work on Reservation Dogs. I was I actually met him on set of Reservation Dogs when we did our episode. And
Check out Josiah. He's Young Fix It Co.
but so for the longest time I was struggling to find a lead leading up to that. And I met Mato on set and I shot him the script and he loved it and he wanted to be part of it. And so that's where our friendship came. He's like, dude, I love the script. Let's do it. And so he said, whatever you need me to do. And I was like, I would love you to be the lead in it. And then afterwards in post-production, I asked him to be to score it because he was there for it. He was there in the pre-production. He knew the heart of the story and how to reach that musically. And so I couldn't, Mato was a big contribution to it. And then I was also struggling to find a little brother. So in the short film, when I originally wrote it, it was two brothers because I grew up with brothers, but I also have a baby sister. And so for the longest time, it was just two brothers and that relationship. And but I could not find the right kid that matched Mato's energy. And and so I was struggling to find that as I was watching auditions. And then Jeremy came to me. He was like, well, what about Nell Daughtry? I was like, who's that? And he was like, well, she auditioned because we had a project for Sesame Street, and she auditioned but didn't get it. And so like I was just like, yeah, I would love for her. I was like, because I'm also looking for a sister too, just to see if that will work too. And she absolutely killed the audition and showed the aspect of the story I did not see. I was just like, and so when she came on set and like her and Mato were interacting, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, it was always a brother and sister relationship because I was thinking of my little sister, Stella, and that's who I named her character after. Shout out to my little sis. And because like she's brought that warmth that the character needed in the story, but also to set. And she was a little nervous at first, but man, she shined. And
And that's cool. Their chemistry, I think, is really important. Like Mato, you were like, well, and I think I remember talking to you about this. Like, I don't know. It's like, maybe if I have to, I have to play him myself. I was like, don't do that, Josiah. Like, you were just on Reservation Dogs around all these actors. It was like, oh yeah, Mato. Like, I guess I can reach out to him. It happens to be that Mato is a basketball head, and is a player, and like they immediately hit it off that way. And also, he's got the energy that the script calls for. Just already, he can do that energy, and then you bring Nell into there, and just kind of like it just feels real. It feels like a real relationship automatically, and that kind of chemistry you can certainly work on. But when it just snaps together, that's amazing. And then you might want to talk about Brent too.
Yeah, I was going to because so for the longest time, he was actually the first one we were like, oh, he's it for Basketball Angel because Angel's character was very bigger than life, and I needed that in an actor to be a little bit bigger than life and reach through the screen a little bit. And Brent Charles, he comes from a theater background, and he was able to reach beyond that. I was just like, dude, you got it, man, because he's very charismatic and also very natural at the same time that I feel like a Basketball Angel would have. And he was very charming and it was also kind of crazy because Jeremy
Yeah.
introduced me to him too.
Yeah, let me tell you that story. Brent, if you're watching, no, very crazy story. So I'll make it quick though. He and I met at Cannes Film Festival, and he was like, we were just hanging out with the Oklahoma film people, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm from Oklahoma City." It's like, holy crap, and I'm Chickasaw. He's a Chickasaw citizen too. And so we were just like hanging out. There was this big movie called Killers of the Flower Moon that was happening then, right? And me and Brent and another friend of ours were like, we're not on the guest list for the big party. But it was great. So we were like, we gotta get in. We're going to get in. So we like climb these mountains, these hills, what do you call them? chalets, insanely, affluent mansions, and we get to this castle basically, and there's a whole bunch of people, and there's limos coming in and out, and and it's starting to rain, and we're like, oh man, how are we gonna get in? Let's like, okay, let's try to talk ourselves in. And so two of us, we like, and then Brent, he's like, it was nighttime, and he put on his sunglasses, and he walked up to the concierge. He's like, yeah, I'm Brent Charles. Yeah, yeah. She look for my name. He had sunglasses on at night. It's like, yeah, I'm in that movie. He's like, he's an extra in there. And they just let him right in. And I was like, what? And I'm sitting out there in the rain. And I was like, man, you got the magic. You got the sauce. And we stayed in touch. And I was like, you know what, Josiah? This Okie, he's in LA now, but he's like, this guy, I think, is the right vibe, and he's got range. And so, I mean, it was like, as soon as the audition, Josiah was like, oh yeah, this is it.
All right, would like to entertain some questions.
Well, can I play this video
or
because this is the
you gotta do
BTS video for the short, just to shout out all the people that worked on it.
Oh,
I
okay.
would just like to show that. That still works because we were going to have a perfect social meal someday. Yeah, leave it here. That way we can go.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so. We need a bare bulb over here. All you need is a bare bulb. Just like that, you know?
Superstars.
It's probably bad to do over there. Yeah, watch that. I'm wrong. Where it is, it's gonna be your marker. This move kind of, but you wouldn't. Scott. Yes. Good. We left this one. Okay, yeah. Bye. You better be clear here. From top to bottom, could not do this without y'all, and I'm very proud of everyone's 100% effort and determination to get this done and buy into this vision I have. And everyone that's here, I couldn't do it without y'all, so I really appreciate your time and everything. Go Key, thank you. That's the official wrap for this weekend's shoot, at least. On the love for the game. Josiah.
Awesome.
The bare bulb, just need a bare bulb. That was Nick Buttram, the GP on that, and we just play. That's like a meme now for us. It's like, we need a bare bulb. We just need a bare bulb.
Yeah, shout out to Hallie for making that BTS video. But yeah, I'm also really proud that like more than half the crew was Native American. Like I said, there's just a lot of my friends that worked on Reservation Dogs, or like we did terrible shorts together with, or just like documentary shoots. Like all these people were just my friends that we made, me and Jeremy's friends that we made over the years. And I just want to give them a shout out to show that.
That was awesome. Very proud. We with Vision Maker Media and see that. That was.
Yeah, y'all see that shirt I was wearing?
We got a couple, any questions we want to shoot at Jeremy and Josiah?
So yeah, we have a question coming to us from Pam on our Hoova app. And she asked a lot of questions, so actually she may reach out to you. But she did want to ask about just some more details about your budget of your film. And I know that that is Greg's favorite subject. But in talking about budget, you guys also hit on a lot about your resources, right? Like utilizing your resources and all these connections you have. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, when we apply the Vision Maker Media, it's 25,000? Yeah, 25,000. And so even I talked to Charla a lot and just like what she suggested, sorry, those throw me off. But what she thought was best, like where it went, like that 25,000, I think she said like 12,000 would go to production, if I remember correctly, but it was something like 10 to 12 went in that range of production because that's what we valued most. And then everything else we kind of scheduled out for like a little bit here in post production because we knew we could do a lot of that ourselves. And then some of that would be licensed to music or
Got to pay the actors.
the actors, like because we knew they were super talented. We knew a lot of that was hinging on their performances because this is a very personal story, and so we needed really good actors and actresses to pull this off, and we also knew like lighting and good camera crew was priority too, and so a lot of that. So just understanding how important production is, and it depends on what your story is about too. Uh, really helps you budget uh, for your short. But Jeremy can kind of speak more to that. But that's kind of like how I approached it with Charla and Matt during that process. Was we have this 25,000. Who can we ask favors for and stuff like that?
And 25,000 helps a lot, right? But you can spend $125,000 on a short film in a blink of an eye. So it's really important that you find people who you can reciprocate with. Like that's kind of my deal. Is like, what can I donate? Can we make sure can we give you the cameras for free? You know what I mean? Can we, use these lights for free? We got a van. You can use the van, you know
Who
what I
can
mean?
help
Like,
us, budget meals, that we've worked with before, like
Yeah.
Josh Lynch.
yeah, and food, very important.
Very important. Get good food for your.
I always have a line item for good food, I'm telling you what. But really leaning on your friends and like, hey, if you help me, I'll help you. That's how you build that community. You lean on your community of people. Also, like this opportunity. I know you've been in this role. I know you've been wanting to try this role. I think you can. How about you do this role? You know what I mean? Just we'll we'll make a deal, right? So there's a lot of that leaning on your relationships to make it work. And because that's what filmmaking is it's all about your relationships and how you communicate.
Well, that sounds like great advice for, young filmmakers, how important that those relationships are, especially mentor, mentee, helping probably start a lot of them. So, and getting to use his equipment. I mean, that was some impressive equipment. What was going on there. That was eye-opening to me.
Mhm.
So, another question?
I'm gonna do before we head over to the hands in the audience. This piggybacks off of that. It's our last question coming from Huva, and it comes to us from Anthony. And he asks, with regards to finding mentorship, would the mentors here, so everybody here in the room, have any advice on pitching to and finding mentors? So Jeremy, maybe you can speak on that about like, again, the community we have. And obviously Vision Maker puts forth a lot of options there for a platform for mentors.
Yeah,
But
you're in your community right now. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. So I would
That's
say that's a good answer.
that's
but-
the beautiful thing about and as someone was mentioning earlier, and I think we all know, like, so many people are willing to help you because we have all been in the same position. We all started somewhere. And um, if you believe in yourself, and I mean, I remember when Josiah was like, Blake, I'm going to go meet up with Blake in LA. I mean, Blake didn't know him at the time. Like, but Josiah's like, hey, I know this guy and he's doing great work. Maybe he'll give me some advice. That's all you need is like, give me some advice. You know, everyone, we're willing to help. We're all willing to help. Uh, all is if we know you need help, right? To a certain extent. So that's really ask questions. I mean, maybe don't over ask too quickly, but but you know, I think that's something someone said earlier, like everyone's here to help each other. I mean, that's built in. So don't be shy. And if they can't help you, maybe they can introduce you to somebody who can.
Yeah, I mean that's how I met Jeremy. Was as a former employees. Her name was Blake Brown, and all I did was just like, hey, I have a quick question. How'd you get into this camera work? Because I just saw a bunch of cameras there, and she told me her whole story, how she went to New York and everything, and like learned production. And then she moved back to Tulsa and met Jeremy, and just like worked with Pursuit Films for a while. And she's still a good friend of mine. And but it all started basically my whole film career started with just asking her, how'd you get into this? And then because I'm interested in this stuff, and then she stayed in touch with me over email over the years, and like introduced me to Jeremy, and then Jeremy introduced me to all kinds of people, and so and just kind of keeps going, you know.
Jeremy, I have a question for you. Hey. So to follow the metaphor of for the love of the game through to your side of things, what did this process of mentorship reignite in you, spark in you as you watched Josiah go through his early filmmaking process?
Yeah, thank you for it's really I mean, like I said, um I've been in this game for a minute, but my whole thing is helping the younger generation come up because we need all the native filmmakers we can get. And we are a native-owned company. We make indigenous-based stories, themed stories. That's all about all the work we do. And it's really important because I, coming up, didn't have the opportunities. You know what I mean? Video cameras were expensive. I'm a trailer park boy. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot more accessible now. And to me, I'm just feel it's really, really important to make sure that everyone gets a shot. And, you know, and it's up to them to take it and go. And, but I'm just really, really proud of him because um, it's very fulfilling as a mentor, as someone on my side of things, to watch people grow into their potential further and further and further. Um, it's really inspiring. Trying not to get emotional, but I'm really proud of him, and I'm really proud of everyone's work here. Seeing what Vision Maker does is just moves me because you guys have been doing this so long, and I just really appreciate that everything that you all do. I believe in it.
Dr. Phil.
So Josiah, you're probably smarter than me. When I was young and I had a mentor, occasionally I would say, no, 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 that I'm not going to do that, what you're telling me to do.
Yeah.
Was there a time in working early on with Jeremy where you kind of didn't listen to his advice and then later you thought, damn, he was right?
Well, I don't know if you ever had a basketball coach as a father. Uh, you learn that at a very young age. Um, and so for me, I know everyone knows more than me. That's how I always kind of approach life because I remember there's multiple, I could tell all kinds of stories from the basketball side of things, how my dad yelled at me so loud because I was cause I thought I could speak to him like that in front of everyone and thought because I knew more basketball than him. There was one time he yelled at me in front of the whole Indian tournament, basketball gym. And because the crowd was going crazy, it was a good game. And I was like, telling him, I was like, I know how to shoot or something like that. And then he marched, the buzzer went off. He marched after me from opposite side of the bench to the opposite side of the court where I was just yelling me in the ear, saying, you don't talk to me like that and everything. And the crowd was silent. and so from the reason I tell the story is because from a young age, I knew Jeremy knew more than me, and I knew I should cherish every advice. Because like I said, I always try to surround myself by people that knew more than me in the subject or something, so that way I can learn.
You sure
And
you want to make that short on your own? Sure.
Yep. No, I also, if you remember, I also failed the short too because Jeremy offered help, and I was like, no, man, I got it. I got it. And yeah,
mean,
so
Mentors don't know everything either, guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of what we just talked all the time. And also like, is this shootable?
mhm.
Is this achievable within the what we can afford? You know, does a basketball angel need to appear with VFX? You know, how do you want this to feel? Like just really just talking, like
Yeah.
understanding what he had in his mind, and also just adapting your approach based on what your resources are. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
And it also, like, I would ask questions. I'd be like, how is this possible? And then Jeremy would be like, well, this is how it's going to be. And so, like, this is what could happen if you went down this route. And so he would explain all the pros and all the cons of it. Like, say, for instance, if we want to do visual effects, this is how much it's going to be. And he's like, but it seems like your story is more grounded. So I don't see there's a need for visual effects, stuff like that. This seems uh very down to earth, but also kind of mystical at the same time. And I think we can achieve that by camera placement and editing. And so it was like, oh, it was always stuff like that. I would ask him, and then he'll be like, here are the pros and cons of it if you take this approach. I highly respect Jeremy and look up to him. And so it was always just communication, just talking it through, and like, how can we make this short the best it can be to our ability? And yeah, couldn't done without him.
We got
Okay.
Walt.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. They both get to freak out like I'm gonna ask him something really crazy. You two have been such a great example for a mentee mentor and how that could work. I'm wondering if you can expand on that and give us your insight and your perspectives from how we can bridge that gap between our youth and our elders with this type of a relationship.
You want to take a crack at it?
yeah. Well, I mean, this is close to my heart because I think about this all the time. Because we got in native country, we got a lot of catching up to do and a lot of different facets that we are catching up to quickly. But also, if if you talk about the elder and the youth relationship, figuring out how to use filmmaking to continue the culture, perpetuate cultural things like I'm really passionate about Cherokee language preservation. So I was like, how can I create compelling content for a young person, but involve the elder to take agency over that, right? So creating those intergenerational bonds in creating the content. It could be as simple as, make a doc about Granny, right? In her life. But it's also like, can you document this story? Okay, can we animate this awesome story that Granny's telling? Just like, and then I think as Native peoples, I think there has been a lot of suspicion about media because we've for the longest time haven't been able to tell our own story because we didn't have the microphone in front of us. And that was my mission, right? It's like put the microphone in front of Granny, let Granny tell it her way, and make her know that she can trust us to not exploit her, or you know what I mean? Because that's a layer that's maybe not the same for other people's, like the trust building, right? And so as far as start with inspiration, you got to get kids to know that they can do it. You know what I mean? I didn't know I could do it, right? Now I do. Make sure he knows he can do it. And my children, you can do this. This is possible. Number one, start there. Number two, make it practical. Like this is the tools that you have to have, and this is the storytelling principles, just build it from the ground up. And those people who really latch onto it, they're going to take it and run with it because they're going to see that power it gives storytelling, they're going to see the power of that and they're gonna go with it. And people who, aren't as interested, but you've started a spark. So,
For me, picking Jeremy as my mentor, uh, I knew I needed a mentor that grew up around Native communities and like knows what it's like to be Native, you know? Because that's just a rare thing to find. Um, and so I've been since like 2019, I kept my eye on Jeremy as a filmmaker because I just followed a bunch of filmmakers that were Native and just like follow with them. And so I knew from a long time since 2019 when I was like 18 or 20 years old, I knew I wanted to work with Jeremy after I graduated college. And so it was a no-brainer when I came here. When I applied to Vision Maker to have Jeremy as my mentor, because I know he's from those communities and I know he knows what it's like to have a grandma that's always trying to feed you, all types of food, when you try and leave and she gives you leftovers, like beans and cornbread and fried bread. And so that's why I picked Jeremy, because he understood what it's like to be a Native person, and not only that, but as a Native filmmaker in this world. And so that's how I approach things, just picking someone that I can relate to, and not only in the filmmaking world, but also just kind of like, no, you get it, man. You know what it's like being Native, and want to have the same vision, was just like help out your communities and the youth that comes behind you because they look up to you. And whatever Jeremy's done, like I just want to help that too, and then also have the same approach in my craft. And so that's why I picked Jeremy, because we both kind of have a similar mission in life, and so kind of ask for a better mentor.
All right, well, these guys got it together. What do you say we give it up for these two fine professionals right here?